another episode of The Burn. I am Ben Newman, and you know how we do this every single week. Different athlete, celebrity, entertainer, and then sometimes you just get me. Today is one of those solo episodes where we're going to dive deeper into the concept of the burn. You know, we always talk about how the burn, it's that underlying fire that ignites why and purpose that then causes individuals to become more disciplined and consistent, which that's what drives winning in their daily action to go identify what it looks like to achieve peak performance. Yet even though the name of the show is The Burn, even though we're well over 100 episodes, we're in season 4, I'm consistently having people ask me, what is the burn? What does it mean? And all kinds of questions like, is the burn the same as your why? Can my burn actually change? And so there's all these questions that we get. So today I figured let's address and go deeper with this concept of the burn, because I believe this will be the difference for you to drive the highest levels of your performance. And how do you set up the burn in your daily environment? Well, let's start with what the burn is. You know, the burn, as I mentioned, it's that underlying fire, which I think is different than your why. You see, oftentimes burn, and I'll get to that, oftentimes the burn, it comes from adversity or challenge that you have faced in your life. The burn may come from sacrifice that somebody has made for you to have the opportunity that you have. Your burn may come from sacrifice you are currently making for somebody to have their opportunity. The burn may come from, and oftentimes, I always encourage people, please go deeper. I think when it's emotional and it's engaging and it's connected at a deep, deep level, it'll be stronger. But for some people, it's materialistic. Because if you struggle with the concept of finding your burn, oftentimes we have to find something for you to understand the importance of the trigger of connecting to that fire to ignite why and purpose. So we're gonna dive into the differences, and we're gonna talk about your burn. But before we get there, for many of you that may not know, I know so many people do know, but my burn is to have the opportunity to continue to write my mother's story. My mother battled a rare muscle disease called amyloidosis. She passed 11 days before my 8th birthday. She's the greatest fighter I've ever known. She had passion, fire, conviction for life. We had 24-hour nursing care in our house my mother's last year living, yet every night without fail, she'd come to the dinner table to ask me how my day was at school. Now, each and every single one of you, you have amyloids in your muscles. If you have an excess of amyloids, it would eat away at your muscles. It would take your life, with your heart being a muscle. My mother was told by Dr. Martha Skinner at the Boston Medical Center she was only the second woman under 40 years old they'd ever seen or heard of having the disease amyloidosis. They gave her 2 to 4 years to live. And she responded by taking out an old blue Mead notebook and turning it into a journal where she unleashed her positive mental attitude onto the world. She wrote, beat the statistics, beat the odds, live with the disease that is chronic and fatal, believe in yourself, combat anything, purpose in life. So think about this. If that's how my mother battled a rare muscle disease, when she passed 11 days before my 8th birthday, far too soon, it gave me perspective that I can fight through anything in life, and the yeses and the nos and the challenge, it's not that bad. It gave me perspective. And it caused a fire to be lit inside of me that cannot go out. And it's that fire that ignites my why and my purpose that causes me to be incredibly disciplined. Now, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. I try to be the best coach that I can be. I try to be the best husband I can be. I try to be the best dad that I can be. I try to be the best business owner that I can be. I try to be the best leader with our team, but I make mistakes. It's why I still have 2 coaches. I read books every single day because we're never finished. It's always a fight to try to get better. that burn ignites that why and causes me to be tremendously disciplined. It's why filming this episode today is 963 straight days of doing the unrequired workout. That's 10 exercises, takes over 45 minutes. Some people can't do it one time. And it's been 963 straight days on the way to 1,000, and I won't stop there because it's this burn and this fire to figure out how great can we all be. You know, my dear friend, and I'm going to read something to you before we hit the finish line of this episode, Ed Milet, who wrote the foreword for Uncommon Leadership, says that you have not taken any action until you've made a decision. Right? So you haven't really made the decision until you've taken the action. We always talk about how everybody tells you how great they want to be, but when we have a conversation with their action, it tells us the real story. When you connect to your burn on a deeper level, it'll ignite more action. And that's when you'll be making decisions and writing one hell of a story. Now that's my burn, my mother's fire that she instilled in me. My why is to empower and inspire individuals to uncover their passions and desires to seek a greater vision for themselves. That's my why, that's my purpose. So it's the burn that ignites that why and that purpose so that I fight to be the best dad I can be, the best husband I can be, the best coach I can be, the best leader I can be. And that's what drives the disciplined action. There are plenty of days I wake up and I don't want to do it, but I choose to do it. Because of that burn, because of my mother's sacrifice and her fight of showing me what it means to show up and fight in your life. So do you know what your burn is? Is there challenge and adversity that you've been through that gives perspective for you that what you tell yourself is a difficult scenario, it's not that bad. It's the perspective that's the burn and the fuel. Maybe there's somebody, as I mentioned earlier, they have made great sacrifice for you. I think of my dear friend Claudio Gambin, one of the top financial advisors in the world, probably in the 0.001%. He talks about stacking bricks every day because his parents immigrated from Brazil. He's first generation in the United States. They left great jobs in Brazil to give him an opportunity. He doesn't want to waste any of those days. That's a burn inside of him that won't go out, which ignites his why and his purpose to go serve his clients every single day and to be the best that he can be. He answered one time when I asked him, how great do you want to be? He said he's never really seduced by success, right? This burn that's lit inside of him. It doesn't matter what he did yesterday. It doesn't matter what he thinks he's going to do tomorrow. If he doesn't do what he says he's going to do today, the amount of guilt that he lives with is too much for me to handle. I'd rather just do the work. Think about that. It's the burn that ignites the why that causes him to have that mindset to put in the work. Sacrifice. Maybe you're sacrificing for somebody. That gold ball right over my left shoulder. My friends in the used to be the St. Louis Rams organization. That's when Marshall was here. But now the Los Angeles Rams organization. They just won the Super Bowl. One of my favorite stories is when Marshall and I shared the stage for the Arete Syndicate when Andy Frisell and Ed Milet invited me to speak. And then I got to stay and hear Marshall speak and to take notes. Marshall talked about how when he grew up, a great sandwich was white bread with sugar on it. And he said, I will work because of something inside of me that I felt because I wasn't going back there. I was going to change my family's life. He made sacrifice of putting in the work. That was his burn. And the not going back there mentality led him to becoming a Super Bowl champion, just like my friends in the current organization and players that I know and work with just won a Super Bowl championship. And all of those players, they're sacrificing for something. There's a burn. But for Marshall, it was not going back. Maybe that resonates with you. You're fighting for somebody to provide a better future. Connect to that every single morning. And maybe you'll go work with a Hall of Fame mindset like Marshall. So those are a few examples of what the burn can look like. But other people say that still doesn't resonate with me. So sometimes we have to go short term. And on the short term burn, oftentimes it might be material. Let me share a story. I remember I was doing work with a Fortune 100 financial firm down in Florida. One of the advisors had expressed to me, I haven't been through challenge. I haven't been through adversity. The sacrifice really didn't hit him. None of what I just shared with you hit and resonated with him. Now, let me just give a little bit of a side note here. I hope you haven't been through the challenge and adversity that I've had to go through. I hope there isn't great sacrifice that you've had to make, although it oftentimes happens that great success comes with sacrifice from somebody or something you're sacrificing for. So don't go looking for the easy way. But if for some reason you're an anomaly and none of that resonates, like this individual, I said, well, what's a goal? What's something you're working towards? And he said, man, we're building a new house. And my wife, she's meticulous. Every detail, she wants it just right. And he says, I want it to be just right. I said, well, even though I typically encourage people, go deeper than something materialistic, maybe for you right now, that is your burn, is to make sure that you wake up every single day, you connect to your wife and your family having everything they want in this house, and that's going to cause you to connect to that why and that purpose. That's going to ignite discipline and action so you make the most of your days, because that's really winning. Yes, I've been blessed to work with plenty of Super Bowl champions, NCAA champions, champions in boardrooms around the world. But winning is your ability to look in the mirror one day at a time and say, today I gave it my very best. If you have the ability to do that, nobody can take that away from you. And you can never ask any more of yourself than your very best. So if he needs to connect to building that house, let's connect to that house. Let that be your burn that ignites you every single day to go take that necessary action. He starts connecting to that as his burn. About 18 months later, I'm back at that organization. They bring me back down to Florida. I'm with him and he says, I'm struggling, man. He says, my burn, I feel like it's just not there right now. I looked at him and I said, your house is beautiful. He says, my house is beautiful. What are you talking about? I said, yeah. I said, I saw the pictures of you and your family in your house on Facebook. The house is beautiful. It looks like it must be exactly what your wife wanted. He smiled real big. He knew the direction that I was taking. I said, the problem is the burn went out because you're now living in your house. That was your burn. You hit the goal. That's why the materialistic things, they only last so long. I said, we have to reconnect you back to something deeper. I said, now that you're in the house, if you want it to be materialistic, maybe it's providing education for your children, filling up their college funds so that they can go to whatever school they want to in the country. If you still haven't found something that's deeper that you're willing to sacrifice for, or challenge and adversity that you've been through, keep it materialistic. Maybe change it for something for your family, for your kids, something. But we have to reconnect and redefine that burn, and that day we did. You see, the burn is different from your why. The burn for some people, it's consistent. It's always the same like mine. Mine's never going to change, and I will never let mine go out. For other people, it changes if it's something materialistic, if it's a goal or something you're fighting for, and then you hit it. But the burn, I know this. The burn is what ignites it all. So even if it changes all the time, even if it stays consistent like mine, if you believe what I believe, and that's that the burn drives everything, and you've had trouble with the burn, have you connected to our burn challenge? It's a 30-day burn challenge. We'll put all the instructions right in the notes for this episode. Every day when I wake up, not only is Janet Fishman Newman Legacy the name of my alarm on my phone, but I actually physically write down Janet Fishman Newman Legacy, Uncommon Amongst the Uncommon, in what I call my burn journal. So I connect to it in two places before anything happens in the day. So what's the likelihood that I'm not going to follow through with doing what I said I was going to do? What's the likelihood of not being locked in on my why and my purpose to then go take that necessary action when I'm thinking of my mother and her sacrifice and her teaching me what it means to win one day at a time and to show up when you just don't feel like it? doesn't happen. You see, we all have a choice to create the environment to drive higher levels of success, but you got to choose that environment. I choose to not have my cell phone right by the nightstand because then it's easy to hit the snooze button. I shared this in an interview I did with Ed Milet on his podcast, that my phone is actually in our bathroom. I have to get up, I got to get out of bed, I got to go all the way across the room, I got to go into the bathroom. If I hit that snooze and get back into bed and let that happen again, Amy's going to kill me. And then I look down and I see Janet Fishman Newman Legacy, my mother's name. There's no going back to bed. I lock in and I attack. It's the same opportunity for you to create the environment. When you establish what your burn is, make sure that burn is what you connect to first thing when you wake up. You see, far too often people allow the challenge that happened yesterday to dictate how they show up or to hit that snooze button, living in your feelings. Or they allow the perceived fears, doubts, and uncertainties of what might happen in the future to hit the snooze button, to stay comfortable, to not do the things that you said you were going to do. But when you connect to your burn and you create an environment that causes you to do what it takes, you just start showing up differently in your life. Take on this burn challenge. If you struggled with the burn, slow down and recognize it's okay if you have a burn that's going to change over time. Understand the difference between that deep-rooted burn and your why. Connect to both. I do, as part of our legacy statement. It's in our mental toughness playbook. We have all these resources that are available to you. If you're part of our Uncommon Live coaching program, you understand these resources. If you're part of our Mental Toughness Academy, you understand these resources. If you're part of our Financial Advisors Academy, you understand these resources. If you're not, go to bennewmancoaching.com and come join us if you actually want to attack your next level. If you actually want to get to understanding the burn and the importance of daily accountability, driving it and attacking your best self in your life. Because that's what champions do. They're intentional and they attack. So let me read you these final 2 pages now that we've talked about the burn and the importance of it for you on this week's episode. I want to leave you with an excerpt. You know, I always do a great job of selling other people's books than I do my own. I cannot wait for Ed Milet's new book to come out. But his book, Max Out Your Life, I've read 5 times. I just reread it for the 5th time. And the last 2 pages, they always strike me. It's 2 of the best pages of a book I have ever read. And I think this will really hit you. If you're having trouble getting ignited by your burn, this will ignite you to choose to take action, to choose to focus on your environment, to choose to make this your best year ever by winning one day at a time. When you do that, when you connect to your burn, it ignites your why and your purpose. You have that disciplined action. The byproduct is winning at very high levels. And Ed Milet speaks to that mindset right here with your opportunity to have an own it mentality in 2022. Don't let the average set a ceiling on your capacity. Don't let the fear of others be your fears. Don't let the lower expectation of others set the bar for what is possible for you. Make decisions, set standards, and take actions that will get you closer to becoming the best version of you and the person you were born to be. You have it within you. I'm no different than you. I wasn't born with a magic gene that you don't have. I just wanted to win so bad that I didn't allow anyone or anything to steal my dreams. Procrastination is a thief and fear is a liar. You were destined for a life of abundance and prosperity. Your maker didn't put you here just to get by. You put in the work, so expect to win. You've made no decisions until action is taken. The day will come when I get face to face with the destiny version of me. I want the satisfaction of knowing I spent a lifetime chasing down that man and that in the end I caught up with him, that he and I are identical, that I challenged myself, I took risks, I dug deeper, I put in the work and I gave it all I had. I used every ounce of blessing that God gave me and left nothing in the tank. It's the driving force in my life. I want you to push yourself now more than ever in your life. You have so much more in you. You have gifts, talents that you've likely not tapped into because you just didn't know how. Maybe you just need a different environment. Take immediate, massive action and go win. Now is the time to become the person you were destined to be. Go find your burn. Attack your burn. And for stories of the burn, join us every single week. For people who have asked you, what is this burn all about? Share this episode so that it not only continues to ignite you, but others who need to understand the importance of the burn and how the burn is the driving force for reaching your highest levels of performance. Let's continue to fight the good fight together.